There's a moment we've all felt, but rarely admit. That quiet ache when you want something so badly that your whole body tightens around it. You tell yourself it's faith, but underneath, there's a pulse of fear. What if it doesn't happen? What if I'm missing something? You keep visualizing, scripting, repeating affirmations, and yet it feels like you're pushing against invisible glass. You can see what you want, but it won't move closer. That's the paradox of pursuit. The more we chase, the more reality mirrors our state of not having. It's like shouting into a canyon. Your own echo of lack bounces right back. But there's another way to move reality, one that doesn't involve running after it. It's a quiet shift that turns attraction into something effortless, gravitational. It starts with the simplest, most underestimated signal we emit, the state of being that we hold when we stop grasping. Think of attraction not as hunting, but as harmonizing. When you stop sending mixed frequencies, wanting but doubting, desiring but tensing, the field around you recalibrates. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the physics of coherence, the subtle alignment between what you observe and what you embody. So the real question isn't how to get what you want. It's how to stop blocking it with the energy of pursuit. Because the moment you stop chasing, something strange happens. Your signal clears. The universe can finally read you without static. Today, we'll go into that signal, the one that works when nothing else seems to, the one that doesn't demand effort, just awareness. Because attraction, in its truest form, isn't about control. It's about becoming unmistakably readable to the field itself. And that begins the instant you stop running toward what's already trying to find you. Picture this. Reality isn't a wall you push against. It's more like a vast field of frequencies, each one broadcasting a version of life you could live. Every outcome, every opportunity, every person you could meet exists as a station on that field. You don't pull them toward you by effort. You tune to them by resonance. You've probably experienced this without realizing it. Ever noticed how when you're relaxed, grounded, and quietly certain, things start unfolding? Calls come in, coincidences line up, people respond differently. That's not random luck. That's coherence. You became a clean signal in the quantum field, and the field responded in kind. Let's make this simple. Your thoughts are the transmitter, but your embodiment, the felt sense of being, is the frequency itself. The mind can say, I have faith, but if your body vibrates with fear, the field reads fear. The universe doesn't react to words, it reacts to coherence. It reads your signal integrity. So, what happens when you chase? You distort the signal. When you grasp, your frequency fractures into tension, impatience, self-doubt. The field mirrors that instability right back, through delays, silence, or half-manifested outcomes that don't quite stick. Attraction fails not because you lack desire, but because you broadcast interference. Here's the pivot. Instead of trying to force a frequency, you learn to stabilize it. You stop looking at reality as something separate from you and start seeing it as an echo chamber of your embodied state. The clearer your state, the cleaner your reflection. Imagine a radio dial. Each desire has a station, one for abundance, one for love, one for peace. Most people spin the knob frantically, jumping between hope and doubt, gratitude and fear. The signal keeps cutting out. But when you breathe, drop into your body, and hold one consistent emotional tone, calm trust, the noise fades. Suddenly, the right station becomes audible. Life starts to broadcast in harmony with you. The observer effect in quantum physics shows that particles organize differently when observed. But the missing piece is how you observe, your emotional posture while observing. A fearful observer collapses a fearful outcome. A coherent observer stabilizes possibility into form. The way you see reality is not passive, it's participatory. So if chasing scrambles your station, clarity tunes it. The moment you stop transmitting desperation, you open a frequency that's unmistakable, a signal the universe doesn't just notice, it syncs to. And yet, there's one myth that keeps people stuck in noise, a misunderstanding that keeps them spinning that dial endlessly. The biggest myth in manifestation is this, that desire itself is enough. People think if they just want it badly, visualize it often, and repeat affirmations long enough, the universe will eventually listen. But that's not how resonance works. Desire is the spark, not the frequency. Think about it like this. Wanting something doesn't automatically make you a match to it, just like thinking about a radio station doesn't make your speaker play the song. You can visualize $1 million every morning, but if your nervous system is still broadcasting scarcity, That's the station you're tuned to. The field always mirrors what you are stabilized in, not what you're reaching for. Let me show you. There's someone sitting in their car scrolling through job listings. They've sent out dozens of applications, all with hope and exhaustion. They say the right affirmations. I'm abundant, opportunities flow to me. But inside, every refresh of their email drips anxiety. Their body says, it's not happening, I'm behind. So the field mirrors exactly that. More waiting, more silence, more proof of lack. It's not punishment, it's precision. The field is a mirror so finely tuned it can only reflect coherence. When your inner world splits, one half believing, one half fearing, reality has no consistent frequency to match. It just echoes back the static. Here's what breaks the loop. Stop trying to prove your worthiness through effort. The field doesn't respond to force. It responds to signal clarity. When you soften, breathe, and allow your nervous system to feel safe even before evidence appears, you shift stations. That's when alignment starts to move the external. So if desire isn't the power, what is? It's embodiment. The full body acceptance that you already are the person who lives that reality. Desire without embodiment creates longing. Embodiment without need creates magnetism. We've been taught to manifest from tension, push, focus, grind, when the field actually responds to coherence, not intensity. And here's the paradox you're about to feel click. The signal that draws everything closer doesn't come from wanting more. It comes from being still enough to feel that nothing's missing. Because when you learn to hold that, calm, certain, ungrasping, something in reality starts turning toward you. But to hold that state, your body needs to feel something most people never consider essential to attraction: safety. Here's the truth no one tells you. Your nervous system is the real gatekeeper of manifestation. You can't receive what your body doesn't feel safe having. If your system is wired in survival, tense, hypervigilant, waiting for the other shoe to drop, your energy field stays closed. You're technically asking, but vibrationally, you're defending. Think about it. When you're calm, centered, and safe, your awareness expands. You notice synchronicities, you feel intuitive nudges, you trust timing. But when your body's bracing, your field contracts. The universe could drop your dream right in front of you, and you'd either overlook it or push it away because it feels unfamiliar, and therefore unsafe. That's why coherence always begins in the body. Manifestation isn't about controlling thoughts. It's about creating internal conditions where receiving feels natural. Safety is the permission slip for reality to reorganize around you. So let's do a small practice, 30 seconds that can completely reset your signal. Close your eyes. Let your shoulders drop. Take a deep breath in through your nose, slow and steady, like you're pulling light into your chest. Hold it softly. Then exhale through your mouth, longer than your inhale, as if you're releasing static from your field. Feel your body start to sink, your muscles loosening. Now imagine a gentle hum, the sound of your ideal frequency. It's calm, steady, unmistakably peaceful. You're not trying to reach it. You're remembering it. Stay with that tone. Notice how the space around you feels slightly more open, like the air itself is cooperating. That's coherence, the alignment of breath, heart, and intention. In this state, your energy becomes readable. Your heart and brain begin to synchronize, producing electromagnetic coherence measurable in science and perceivable in your reality. The signal strengthens not through thought repetition, but through embodied calm. You're no longer begging the field to respond. You're allowing it to harmonize with you. Because safety is attraction. The moment your body believes it's safe to have something, the field receives that permission as a command. This is why chasing doesn't work. It tells your system we're not safe until we have it. But when you anchor safety before it arrives, you collapse the waiting time. You become the frequency of arrival. And yet, even with coherence, there's another layer most people miss. The difference between a temporary emotional state and a stable identity that keeps that signal on. Most people try to manifest by controlling their state. Think positive, feel abundant, act as if. But states are temporary. They flicker. One message, one bill, one unexpected silence, and the signal collapses. That's because states are surface-level waves, while identity is the ocean beneath. True attraction doesn't come from maintaining a mood. It comes from stabilizing who you are being. Imagine someone who's trying to attract love. They meditate, visualize, repeat affirmations. For a while, they feel open, radiant, magnetic, until the person they like doesn't text back. Instantly, their stomach drops, their energy tightens, and the station shifts from I'm loved to I'm alone again. What happened? The state dissolved because the identity beneath it never changed. The quantum field reads identity, not emotion. Emotion is a momentary pulse. Identity is the ongoing broadcast. You can't fake being abundant while secretly identifying as someone who's always behind. You can't embody love while identifying as someone who's unchosen. The field mirrors your self-concept, not your affirmations. Here's the turning point. Stop chasing emotional highs and start stabilizing energetic truth. Identity work isn't about pretending. It's about remembering. Who would you be if the thing you wanted had always been natural to you? How would your body move, speak, breathe? That's the embodiment that shifts timelines. Because every identity carries its own field. The trying version of you exists on one frequency, full of effort, seeking validation, always measuring. The knowing version broadcasts ease, clarity, grounded confidence. You don't force the leap between them. You inhabit it. You let the body rehearse the feeling of already being that version until the field no longer distinguishes between imagination and reality. And this is where attraction stops feeling like magic and starts feeling inevitable. When you hold the frequency of who you truly are, everything aligned with that identity becomes magnetically drawn in, not through manipulation, but through matching resonance. The field is always listening for stability. The more consistently you occupy your chosen identity, the faster reality organizes around it. But there's something even deeper at play here. Something that explains why identity isn't fixed, but fluid across infinite potential versions of you. Because in the quantum view, every identity corresponds to a timeline. And when you shift who you are being, you don't just change your mindset, you change your reality track entirely. Every identity you could ever inhabit already exists, like parallel stations on a vast frequency spectrum. Each station broadcasts a different reality, one where things are difficult, one where opportunities appear easily, one where love is natural, one where money flows. You don't create these timelines. You tune into them by embodying the version of you that already lives there. It's not fantasy. It's physics in motion. Each you holds a unique electromagnetic pattern. When your emotions, beliefs, and posture line up with a particular version, your consciousness locks onto that signal. From there, reality rearranges to reflect that identity's timeline. Imagine this in a real-world moment. You're sitting before an interview for a position that could change everything. Your mind starts spinning. What if I mess up? What if I'm not ready? That thought pattern belongs to a specific version of you, the timeline of fear and self-doubt. The energy in your body tightens, your signal fractures, but then you pause, you breathe, you remember. There's another station, a version of you who already belongs in that role. Calm, focused, magnetic. You shift into that frequency by letting your body mirror that version. Slower breathing, grounded shoulders, eyes steady. You feel the room differently. Time even feels slower. That's not imagination. That's a shift in resonance. The quantum field isn't judging or rewarding. It simply syncs to whichever you holds the most consistent signal. The moment you stabilize the vibration of the version who already has it, you cross into that timeline. Not metaphorically, but experientially. People treat you differently. Opportunities that match your new signal appear. That's why identity work isn't about forcing belief. It's about consistent tuning, inhabiting the emotional frequency of the timeline you choose again and again until reality clicks. The biggest mistake is trying to drag old energy into a new identity. You can't carry the self-image of limitation and expect abundance to respond. Each timeline is sealed by coherence. The moment you let go of the old broadcast, the new one becomes accessible. So every morning, when you wake up, you're choosing, which frequency will I inhabit today? The one that doubts, or the one that knows? Because once you understand how timelines respond to identity, manifestation stops being about waiting for change. It becomes about living the change now, through the smallest embodied choices. And to help you hold that shift consistently, you'll need a practical way to train your signal, a daily toolkit to make embodiment second nature. Here's where theory becomes muscle memory. Because embodiment isn't something you think your way into, you train your nervous system to hold a new broadcast until it becomes automatic. Just like a musician tunes before every performance, you rehearse your frequency every morning, every pause, every decision. Start with bridge statements, gentle transitions between your old identity and the new one. Instead of forcing, I am abundant, say, I'm learning how to feel safe with abundance. Instead of, I'm fully confident, try, confidence is beginning to feel familiar in my body. These bridge phrases tell your system we're not faking this, we're adjusting. They dissolve resistance and invite the new identity softly in. Next, use somatic anchors. Find one simple body cue that represents coherence for you. A hand over your chest, a slow exhale, a subtle smile, shoulders lowering. Each time you feel fear, doubt, or scarcity rising, return to that cue. You're not suppressing emotion, you're retuning the signal. Over time, your body begins to associate that gesture with safety, and your energy field stabilizes faster. Then, practice embodiment drills. Choose one scenario daily where you consciously rehearse being the version who already lives the timeline you want. Maybe while walking to your car, you move with the ease of someone who's financially free. Maybe while cooking, you hum as someone deeply loved would. The goal isn't to act. It's to feel the reality already vibrating through you. Lastly, use frequency journaling. Before bed, write not what you did, but what frequency you occupied that day. Today, I tuned to calm certainty. Today, I slipped into rush, then recentered. This keeps awareness alive and prevents drift back to old timelines. Here's the secret behind all of it. Repetition isn't about effort. It's about reinforcement. Each time you return to coherence, the signal grows stronger. You become a reliable transmitter of your chosen identity. The field learns what to mirror back. Consistency. If you make these tools a rhythm, your vibration stops fluctuating with circumstance. You'll notice the timeline of stability starting to replace the timeline of struggle, not because you forced change, but because your signal became unmistakably steady. And if you've ever felt something suddenly click into place the moment you stopped gripping, tell me in the comments. That story might unlock someone else's leap, because the more we learn to hold coherence in practice, the more naturally life starts to align around us. But even the most stable signal meets turbulence. Those moments of urgency, split energy, or over-control that pull us back into old frequencies. Let's dismantle those next. Even when you start tuning cleanly, there are 3 patterns that can scramble your broadcast faster than anything else: urgency, split signals, and over-control. They're subtle. They often disguise themselves as motivation or discipline, but underneath, they're pure static. Let's start with urgency. It's that pressure in the chest that whispers, "It has to happen now." It sounds powerful, but urgency is the body's way of saying, "I don't trust it will come unless I force it." And the field mirrors that mistrust. Urgency broadcasts lack of time, so life responds by rushing you into almosts and near misses, fast movement with no fulfillment. The antidote is spaciousness. When you slow your breath, you remind the field that you already have time. Calm is your confirmation signal. Then comes split signals. You say you want love, but you brace every time someone gets close. You affirm abundance, but you flinch when spending. That contradiction tells the field, send mixed results. Coherence requires wholeness, alignment between what you think, feel, and do. To heal split signals, you don't fix them. You witness them with compassion. Awareness integrates what tension separated. And then there's over-control. This one's sneaky. You plan every step, check every sign, try to manage every outcome. It feels responsible, but energetically, it's fear wearing logic's mask. Over-control tells the field, I don't trust the intelligence larger than me. The moment you loosen that grip, synchronicity can finally move again, because control is the opposite of flow. It traps the signal in constant recalculation instead of allowing resonance to carry it forward. Here's the reframe. These obstacles aren't failures, they're feedback. They show you exactly where the signal needs softness. When you feel urgency, breathe space into it. When you notice split energy, pause and ask, what part of me doesn't feel safe having this yet? When you feel the urge to control, shift to curiosity. What would unfold if I didn't interfere? This is how you transmute static into clarity. Every obstacle becomes another point of tuning, another chance to broadcast trust instead of tension. When you start living like that, coherence isn't a temporary state. It becomes your baseline, a living frequency that continues even while you're in motion, speaking, eating, walking, working. Because embodiment isn't limited to meditation, it's tested and strengthened in the quiet moments of ordinary life. And that's where your true frequency begins to lead reality, instead of reacting to it. This is where quantum manifestation stops being an idea and starts being a way of living, not in rituals, but in the way you move through your day. Because coherence isn't something you visit, it's something you carry. Every small act becomes a chance to tune the field around you. When you wake up, before you grab your phone, pause for one deep breath. Let your awareness drop into your body. Feel the quiet hum of being alive. That moment is your first broadcast of the day. If you start from rush or lack, you set your station there. But if you start from presence, you're already transmitting stability. As you walk, pay attention to your posture. Are you moving like someone chasing life, or like someone life flows toward? Tiny adjustments, slower steps, relaxed shoulders, eyes lifted, send massive vibrational cues. You're telling the field, I'm available. I'm not hunting, I'm harmonizing. During meals, coherence is digestion. The more you eat with gratitude and presence, the more your body absorbs energy efficiently. It's not about what you eat as much as who you are while eating. That's embodiment in action, the physics of alignment expressed through biology. Even in conversations, integration is subtle but powerful. When someone triggers you, instead of collapsing into defense, breathe once. Feel the energy rise, then choose neutrality. You're training your frequency to remain steady, regardless of external input. That's mastery. One of the simplest but most transformative practices? Listening. When you listen fully, without rehearsing your reply, your brain waves synchronize into coherence. People feel it. They soften, open, mirror that calm. You're literally repatterning your environment by presence alone. Integration is about turning ordinary activities into calibration points. Walking, cooking, speaking, resting, all of it becomes tuning. You stop seeing manifestation as something separate from living. Life itself becomes your field lab. And then, one day, something shifts. You notice you're no longer asking, when will it happen? You're simply being in the vibration where it's already normal. The timeline has fully locked in. But here's the part that surprises most people. When your personal frequency stabilizes, the expansion doesn't stop there. Your energy starts rippling outward, influencing more than just your own circumstances. Relationships evolve, creativity heightens, health recalibrates. The field expands through you. Because once coherence becomes your baseline, you stop manifesting for yourself and start manifesting through yourself. Once your frequency stabilizes, it stops working in isolation. Coherence begins to ripple outward, shaping not only your outcomes, but the energy fields of the people and spaces around you. You become a transmitter of order in a world addicted to noise. Let's take this into something real. Imagine you're in the middle of a creative project, a song, a video, a design, and you hit a wall. The ideas stop flowing, your mind loops, self-doubt kicks in. That's not lack of talent, it's frequency interference. You've shifted into control and fear, trying to make something happen. But when you step back, breathe, and let your body return to calm, the rhythm returns. Ideas stream in, perfectly timed. You've tuned back to the creative station where inspiration already exists. That's quantum artistry, not generating, but receiving. This same coherence transforms relationships. When you stop needing others to validate you, your presence becomes magnetic. People feel safe around your steadiness. You stop performing connection and start transmitting it. Even difficult conversations unfold differently. Not because you've learned clever words, but because your signal no longer vibrates in defense. It shows up in health, too. The more your nervous system stays regulated, the more your cells function in harmony. The body mirrors your broadcast. Relaxed energy becomes efficient biology. You start healing by coherence, not by force. And purpose, the biggest domain of all, becomes clear. When you embody a stable frequency, the field reveals where it wants to flow through you. Synchronicities cluster, opportunities align, people appear out of nowhere who fit the next evolution of your path. It's no longer about asking, what's my mission? But rather, how can I let my frequency express itself fully here? The expansion isn't dramatic. It's quiet, steady, profound. The more coherent you become, the more reality organizes around you with elegance. Not because you command it, but because your field becomes impossible to ignore. This is the paradox of attraction. When you radiate truth, you no longer pull. The universe moves toward you to meet itself in form. But all of this points to something even more mysterious. The realization that coherence isn't just psychological or energetic. It's sacred. The intelligence that arranges reality isn't separate from you. It is you, expressing itself through your alignment. And understanding that That's where manifestation becomes devotion, not control. At some point, you realize this entire process, tuning, aligning, becoming coherent, was never about getting something. It was about remembering who you are beneath the static. The more you quiet the chase, the clearer it becomes. You were never separate from the intelligence you've been trying to communicate with. The field you're trying to attract from is the consciousness looking through your eyes. This is the spiritual core of manifestation, not asking the universe to serve you, but realizing you and the universe are one continuous field of awareness folding in on itself. When you feel peace, life mirrors peace. When you feel fear, life mirrors fragmentation. It's not personal reward or punishment, it's resonance responding to itself. There's something profoundly humbling in that. You stop trying to command the universe like a vending machine and start relating to it as a living organism that listens to your vibration. Every breath becomes a form of communication. Every choice is an act of creation. Surrender stops being a weakness and becomes participation. It's not giving up control. It's remembering that control was an illusion. The same intelligence that spins galaxies and opens flowers is capable of arranging your path without your micromanagement. The moment you trust that, reality becomes fluid again. You start to see guidance everywhere, not as signs to decode, but as reflections of your state. The more coherent you are, the clearer the feedback loop. Life feels conversational. You say yes in energy, and the field says yes back in form. This is where faith stops being belief and becomes embodiment. You're no longer hoping for alignment, you are alignment. Every cell in your body becomes an instrument of divine coherence. You move slower, speak softer, choose more intentionally. And paradoxically, the more you surrender, the more power you feel. Because real power doesn't come from forcing. It comes from resonance with the intelligence that moves everything. You're not manifesting objects. You're allowing infinite potential to crystallize through you. The observer, the observed, and the act of observation merge into one. The mirror recognizes itself. And from that realization, something profound unfolds. A quiet knowing that your signal doesn't just shape your life, it contributes to the harmonic balance of everything around you. That's the true purpose of this work. To become a living point of coherence in a field that's remembering its own unity through you. But to close the loop fully, to anchor this realization into one final image, we need to return to where we began, the signal, the one that works without chasing. In the end, it all returns to the signal. Not the words you speak, not the effort you give, but the frequency your being hums when you stop reaching. That's the real transmission the field hears. Think of it like standing before a mirror made of light. Every emotion, every belief, every breath, reflected instantly without judgment. When you chase the reflection, it runs. When you pause, breathe, and let your body remember safety, the reflection settles into clarity. You see yourself as you've always been. Not separate, not waiting, already in sync. That's the secret to attracting without pursuing. You don't pull life toward you. You clear the static that keeps you from feeling it's already here. The moment your inner world relaxes into coherence, the mirror stops distorting. Reality rushes to meet the calm. The simplest signal is this: presence. The way you breathe when you're not afraid. The softness in your chest when you trust timing. The subtle joy that doesn't depend on proof. That's the vibration that moves worlds. And here's the paradox that never stops astonishing me. The moment you no longer need what you wanted, it can finally arrive. Because the field reads completeness as a green light. So if you remember nothing else from this journey, remember this image. The mirror doesn't respond to hands that grab, it responds to eyes that see. When your gaze steadies, your reflection follows. Have you noticed that the moment you stopped gripping, what you wanted somehow found its way to you? Tell me your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's leap. Because the signal that truly attracts isn't loud, forced, or desperate. It's calm, clear, coherent. And once you broadcast that, life has no choice but to harmonize. Not with force, with frequency.